Shetty Ice from 1199 First Ave, and I remember when. This was spring of 2003, and I'm from 1199, which takes up from 107th Street on First Ave to 111th Street, and be a little bit behind First Ave on 111th Street because that's the D building. And the buildings is all broken down into from 107th Street, A building, B building, C building, and then D building. And when, we used to hang out in front of B building, which is on 109th Street. And it had in front of the building, it has a concrete semicircle bench. And we used to sit over there and just, have our drinks after work and just chill out, just talk shit. And, we had been, and I had taken a break and walked over to our corner bodega on 110th Street called Haji's. And after a certain time, Haji closes, they got this glass partition, so it makes everybody just kind of stay in a box and by the register. So I had, I went in there and I saw this girl from my building. She was very timid, she's very, very like timid girl, real cool, but little gay chick, cool chick. And I always said hello to her, but she was real shy. But anyway, there was some Mexican cats in there. Well, one Mexican cat, and he was inebriated, and he was ordering a case of Heineken's. And so, I had no problem. I was just like, whatever, I was waiting my turn. But he was disrespecting that girl and that lived in my building. So the young lady and this Mexican cat were going back and forth. And I was, that bothered me. So I took exception to that. So I said to the cat, I said, yo, man, you don't need to be talking to her like that. So he comes out of his face and tells me about my business and this and that. So me and him start going back and forth. So he gets his Heineken's, and unbeknownst to me, he opens the door to the bodega and yells out some Spanish shit to another Spanish dude who was kind of looked like he was a little inebriated himself. And he starts yelling at me, "You think you better than me? You think you better than me?" And I was like, didn't nobody say nothing about who's better than who or nothing like that. I was just, defending this young lady's honor. So, it gets to the point where I don't know how I stepped out the bodega and, and me and this dude, this dude wants to, I don't know how we started to raise hands on each other. I don't remember, but I do remember they started throwing the Heineken's at me. And, they was throwing the Heineken's at me. I started running around the car because I didn't want to get hit with a Heineken bottle. So I started running around the car. And I told him, I said, yo, listen, man. I said, chill with them throwing them Heineken bottle. I said, I can't be running. This is my neighborhood. I don't want niggas to see me running. So I was like, yo, you better chill with that bullshit, man. So I think I grabbed one of them and I started to hit. I don't know if I hit. I don't remember, but we ended up across the street, but in the middle of the street. And if you know First Ave, it's like 5 lanes wide. And this was before they added a bike lane. So it was like I said, it was 2003. So it was like 5 lanes wide, and we fighting, and cars is honking, and everybody in the bodega happened to come out, and they were watching, and I'm fighting this dude, and while I'm fighting him, his man is across the street throwing Heineken bottles at me. So I'm concentrating on my knuckle game with this dude, and then I'm also concentrating on dodging Heineken bottles that's being hurled across the street at me. So I'm like, I'm multitasking right here. So I hit the dude, right? Square, bow, and he falls. And I say, yo, man, don't get up, you know. And this man's, like I said, still hurling Heineken bottles at me. And I said, yo, don't get up, man. I'm gonna just knock you right the fuck back down. But I give it to Money. He was very, you know, yo, he got right back up. He was very resilient. So he gets back up and he, you know, throws his hands up, and then bow, I hit him again. And I said, don't get up, B. I said, yo, I'm just gonna knock you right the fuck back down. But this resilient motherfucker got right back up. And so I'm like, oh shit, it reminded me like of one of the movies where like the zombies, where you shoot the zombie and he still comes at you. And so after that, I hit him a third time, same thing, and he fell. And this time his man that was hurling the Heinekens came across the street and picked him up. And brought him, you know, took him away. And I was like, you know, I was just like, damn, whoa. But so then cats in the bodega, all the people in the bodega were like, yo, they called the police. Get out of here. So I'm like, damn, well, you know, I mean, my building was right there, so I could have ran in my building, but then I'm like, you know, but then, so my man's little brother, I'll never forget, he was in the car. He said, get in the car. And he had to pick somebody up on 125th Street, so he was like, just get in the car, come with me. So I did, and I was like, phew. So we went in the car, and he picked up whoever he had to pick up on 125th. And then we came back and we seen police kind of searching the area, and I was like, just drive, you know, just drive around or something till, you know, and we did, and then, you know, fortunately I didn't get locked up for that. But, and the funny thing was, I never remembered what those Mexican cats looked like. And my man said, he was like, yo, I saw he was like, I saw the Mexican cats the next day, man, you know. He said they live on like, because there's a lot of Mexicans that lived on 108th Street at the time. There was a laundromat over there, and they lived above that laundromat. And I was just like, damn, if I would have ran into them in the street, I wouldn't even have known who they were. But by the grace of God, I didn't get locked up, and I never ran into them again. At least I don't know if I ever ran into them again. But yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I hope that you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you will always get an alert when a new video drops. Plus, join our website for information on all our shows, trips, and getaways. If you would like to support the channel, you can do so by shopping at our store in the link below or visit www.WhatToDoEnt.com. This video was produced and directed by Toxey, and created at What To Do Entertainment Studios.